Let's bring you the details of our stories now. The government has commenced a crackdown on illegal mining following the deployment of over 100 military personnel to Galamsey site in parts of the country. The government had assured Ghanaians of a revival of the erstwhile Operation HALT campaign to rid water bodies and forest reserves of illegal mining, and also the miners. Now, and those whose activities have left rivers and streams heavily polluted and the forest cover stripped bare. The latest move is as a result of the public outcry as well as threats by organized labor to proceed on a nationwide strike to back their demand for concrete action and to deal with the Galamsey menace. Now, as you may be aware by now, Labour called off that strike that was expected to start today. 3FM understands the clampdown has started from the eastern region where water bodies like the Birim River, Densu and several others are suffering significant contamination. The government also plans to deploy naval boats to patrol on water bodies as part of the enhanced operation. So far, the Ghana Armed Forces has not issued any official communication about this campaign beyond the statement from the Jubilee House dated Wednesday, October. Now, listen to Eric Tenade, Commander, Operation HALT Task Force.
The Joint Task Force has a clear and unambiguous mission of clearing all our water bodies of mining activities. And at this time, we are not looking at whether the person has the required documents or not. So far as you are on our water bodies or you are along the water bodies, you are our target. We are trying to clear all of them from our water bodies to make sure that our water bodies return to the normal color that we are all looking for.
How long are you going to be stationed within this district?
Okay, so the immediate assignment is estimated to last for about 2 weeks. Then after that, we'll know what to do next, or depending on the instructions and the directives that we'll receive after that one.
Are you surprised that going to about 3 or 4 sites so far, you've not seen illegal miners doing active mining? Are you surprised about that?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm surprised because one way or the other, they get the information that we are coming. But then sometimes before we disembark, we see some of them trying to run and we pursue them. Just that we've not been able to arrest any of them, but we've been able to destroy some of the equipment, like the jump fans and industrial machines that they use in doing this kind of activities. And so we'll continue and up our game to make sure that we arrest some of them and then try and destroy all the equipment that they are using. Then we'll continue with patrols to make sure that they don't return to the areas that we have visited. As we go along, we detail some team behind to be patrolling from time to time just to make sure that all the areas that we have cleared, they don't return to the place.
It is often said that your men get compromised along the way. How hopeful should we be that this time around your men would deliver a good job to restore our water bodies?
Well, this time around, well, I cannot substantiate what you are talking about, but then I can assure you that the soldiers I'm working with, they are disciplined, and I've talked to them, and they know why we are here, and we are all going all out for the reason that we are here, and so I don't expect that they will compromise this operation. And so far, I think it's been good. We are all cooperating and working hard.
And you heard there, Colonel Eric Tenadu, Commander Operation Halt Task Force, are currently in Galamsey infested areas trying to rid the place of illegal miners. Palgrave Bachadankwa is the government spokesperson on governance and security. He joins us live on the phone now. Good evening to you, Doc. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Beatrice, and good evening to you.
What briefing have you received regarding this deployment?
Well, we are aware that the Operation Halt, led by the Ghana Armed Forces, Colonel, who is leading the operations, and the task force are already in the eastern region. Some of the people have been deployed to Achem Enginem, some have been deployed to Achem Kwamen, some are in Etiwa East, and deployments are ongoing as we speak to various parts of the country to make sure that they fulfill President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's mandate of persons who are mining along water bodies or in forest reserves.
Can you confirm the number of personnel who have been sent on this mission?
Well, I can't confirm the number, but I can tell you that it's a sizable number enough to be able to overcome and outrun anybody who wants to resist that force.
And how long are they going to remain on the ground?
As we speak now, the first deployment is going to be for 2 weeks. Then we'll recall and then we'll redeploy again.
Any scientific reason behind the 2 weeks?
Well, it's military operations and strategy. And so you do your first operations for 2 weeks, and then maybe a few days, about a day or two, you send another team again, because you don't send the same team back into the field.
Any reason we haven't received any official communication from the Ghana Armed Forces that is supposed to be leading this, as you say?
Well, once President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has given the instructions and you're already on the ground, I think that whatever communique you are receiving is being received from the government angle. Because you are aware that the Ghana Armed Forces hardly interfaces with public engagement. But I'm very certain that along the way, they will be able to give some very good update of what is going on the ground. But you must remember that there's a committee that has been set up as well. So the committee is mandated to be feedbacking the Ghanaian people.
I know you said that the Ghana Armed Forces is leading, and again, we also heard Colonel Eric Tenadu there talking to us. But I asked the question because we made inquiries within the Public Affairs Directorate of the Ghana Armed Forces, and no one seemed to have information in terms of detailed information about this operation. Any reason?
Well, I'm not too sure where you went to ask, but very clearly, the Ghana Armed Forces works in hierarchies and they work in structures. And so once you've had the conversation with Colonel, it ends the conversation very clearly that the Ghana Armed Forces has been deployed and they have been asked to act on these operations over the period.
So that's Colonel on the field talking to some selected media houses and journalists that were asked to be on the ground with the military. But the PR department is supposed to be telling Ghanaians that this is what is happening beyond the commander on the field. So why won't the PR know about it?
The commander on the field is in charge of the operations. And if anyone understands how military operations work, you feedback from the operations on the ground. The PR would not be able to give you what is happening on the ground, which is why Colonel was able to grant interview. If the Colonel didn't have the mandate to grant the interview, he would have mandated the PR and sent information to the PR to work. But in military operations, the commander on the ground is able to feedback the general public, which is what he did.
So are you able to tell us which other region the military will be moving to and how they are dealing with people mining on our water bodies?
All the regions that are affected with illegal mining, central region, some parts of western region and western north, and other places where illegal mining is greatly affected, the military would be there.
As you're aware, this is not the first time that the government will be sending the military to our forest reserves and other parts infested with illegal mining. Others believe that this is not the time to let out soldiers again, but to show the political will by enforcing what ought to be enforced and dealing with what ought to be dealt with.
Well, I'm glad that this is not the first time, but this is not the last time that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has stated that he wants to fight against illegal mining. So it's very clear and very indicative that this will yield a lot more results, because then we have the Small Scale Miners Association that are part of the committee. We also have organized labor, which is also part of the committee, which wasn't what it was from the time when President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo started this fight from 2017. So we are very confident that this will be able to yield the necessary fruits and results that we need.
The last time we saw an operation like that, you bent a number of equipment on water bodies. Is that the same approach you're using?
Yes, we still. I've seen a few videos going around of excavators being bent. I cannot confirm if these are being bent by the operations that we are doing, but very clearly, if we find excavators along water bodies, we would deal with those excavators.
Again, you make a point that a lot of people don't seem to necessarily agree that the efforts that were put in place from 2017 till now have yielded results. If that was the case, we wouldn't be seeing more water bodies polluted. In fact, if we fetch water from 2017 or 2022 and compare it with water bodies now, it is obvious that things have worsened.
Well, I can understand what the Ghanaian people are talking about as it relates to that, but very clearly, you know that we've been fighting illegal mining. You know that we have been working on making people move away from water bodies. You know that the government brought in these 10 microfilm machines, but we are very certain that the turbidity levels are going to be reducing. Just about a week ago, it was 9,000, had reduced from 14,000 to 9,000. I'm very certain that in the few days and weeks that are coming along, the water level and turbidity is going to be reducing further, so that we can be assured of the quality of water that we are all drinking.
And again, the concern from people who are championing this cause, like Arocha Ghana and a few others, is that you have the big fishes who are politicians, and those who are on the ground, these are just, the small ones who have been sent to mine or to destroy our land. So what is the government doing about that?
Well, these are allegations and accusations that come every now and then, that governments have big fishes that are involved.
Not even the names that were mentioned in Frimpong Boateng's report.
Well, I mean, the Frimpong Boateng report was referred to the Ghana Police, CID, for investigations and further questioning. If they found any of those culpable, they would be facing the full rigors of the law. But we are aware as well that there are some people that are facing the full rigors of the law for the destruction of the water body, which is why President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo asked for some establishment of similar courts in the circuit court and high courts to be able to deal with this issue.
We'll have to end it here with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Paul Grey Boakye Dankwa. He's the government spokesperson on governance and security. We're joined by Dr. Victor Doka. He is a security consultant and a lecturer. Good evening to you, Doc. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Doc. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good evening
to you.
Good evening to you. Yes, Doc. I don't know whether you had the opportunity to listen to Dr. Paul Grey Boakye Dankwa, the governance spokesperson on governance and security. Any hope from what he said?
Well, thank you very much. From what he said, well, his portfolio is a government spokesperson, so he will speak for the government with regards to what they are doing. But on a view of whether everything that the government has laid down to implement is or will yield positive results, in my opinion, I don't think it would at this time, at this moment, because the approaches, the mechanisms that we were expecting to see for the long term, not just the short term, okay? One, additional deployment of the military. And I heard him saying only with regards to the water bodies. So what about the deep reserves of the forest? Does that mean that we are concentrating on only the water bodies? Okay? Now, aside that, what again do we need to see with regards to, as you mentioned, the big fishes, those that have been named as alleged to have been involved in this menace? There is nothing being done about it. So it's like temporarily halting the situation just for people to lay low, and then when everything dies down, they would come out again. I see the approaches in the short term would limit the use of the Chamfan or the river bodies. Middle to long term, I really don't see any positive result with regards to that. Unless the holistic approach, aside you tackling the water bodies, you deal with those who are mining in the forest reserves also.
So obviously, I mean, this is an operation we've seen before. How differently do you expect them to work to yield better results beyond what you just mentioned?
The only thing different now is that now there was the honorable minister in charge. I don't know who is in charge of this operation as of now. There has been additional personnel that have been called into this operation. There will be, as it's already been seen, confiscation and then burning of beasts and fans and other equipment. Okay? So then you would just see that these equipment on our water bodies will just limit. It will just go down. That is the only difference that I see. Aside that, I don't really see anything else.
Well, thank you very much. Dr. Victor Doka, he's security consultant as well as a lecturer. We're staying a bit longer on this because the Accra Diocese of Catholic Church in Ghana is set to hold an environmental prayer protest walk in Accra on Friday. That's tomorrow, October 11, 2024. The prayer protest walk is aimed at urging the government to take immediate and decisive action against illegal mining, commonly referred to as Galamsey. Very Reverend Matthias Kotuka Amuzu is Director for Justice and Peace, Archdiocese of Accra. He joins us live on the line. Good evening to you, Rev. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Rev, are you able to tell us how prepared you are for this walk tomorrow?
Well, we are more than ready. We have satisfied all the necessary arrangements that we need to make, contacts with the police, the Jubilee House, and all the stakeholders that we're supposed to engage. We have done so, and we are just poised for action tomorrow morning.
Poised for action tomorrow morning. Others argue that perhaps you could have chosen a diplomatic route rather than hitting the streets. Why?
Beautiful. I like your question. For almost 8 years now, the Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference has issued a communique. In other words, a statement on this menace, Galamsey. And it's like it fell on deaf ears. No action was taken. Every attempt proved futile. Now, this is not politically organized group. No, this is a Catholic church. We have all the party, every party has members in our church. We have NPP, NDC, TP, everybody in the church. So it's not a political thing. This is a moral obligation for the church. Because we are Christians, we believe that God created the world, according to Genesis chapter 2:15, that he entrusted the world to man to take care of it. It is your responsibility, likewise my responsibility, to make sure that what God has given us, this land, Ghana, our homeland, the only homeland we all have, and all the gifts, all the minerals, all the properties God has given us, it is our collective responsibility to take good care of it. And when there is a problem, we must come together to solve that problem. And the Catholic Church have raised the issue over and over and over again, but it's like nothing is being done. You yourself will agree with me that recently we can all see, except those who are blind, who have seen that every river that we have in Ghana, or let me say 90% of the river bodies we have in Ghana are all contaminated. They've all turned to muddy waters. I studied at St. Martin's. We drank Densu. Now I'm in Accra. In the same river that goes to Weja, the same source of water we drink. Please go there, have a look and see what is there. It's muddy water. You cannot drink that yourself. I happened to see few pictures few days ago about the deformities that are coming up because of that effect. Children that are being born, some with 6 limbs, some without limbs, some without eyes, and all kinds of things. What will happen next year or 2 years' time, we do not know. All these water bodies can dry up. All the church is saying is that we have been saying this in the past. They are not listening to us. So we are going to the street. We are not demonstrating. We are going to pray on the street with our placard, telling the government and every stakeholder that you people are leading us to damnation. We don't want to go there. My sister, I want you to know that those involved in Galamsey, there are Catholics there. There are Christians there. There are Muslims there. Every creed you want to talk of, they're all there. So that alone should spell out the fact that it has no political ramifications. No. This is just moral obligation, social justice, environmental degradation that we are talking about. So we are going to the street. We are going to pray. That's number one, to pray that God, please save Ghana. We are Catholics. We live in the intervention of Mother Mary, according to John chapter 2, verse 11. When at Canaan the wine ran out, it was Mother Mary who told Jesus that these people are falling to disgrace. Can you help?
So, very Reverend, just to ask you though, I mean, people are disappointed that everybody went to sleep, including the church. You could have sustained this fight. Why now?
Exactly what I've said, that we have written 9 different communiques from 2017 till now. Nothing has been done. You know, I'm from Georgia in the Volta region, and born and bred in Accra. We have a saying that when you advise your child in the room, and he's not listening to you, you will advise your child by the street side, by the roadside, and then he will wake up. So if we have spoken all this time, our Bishops' Conference has written all this communique 9 times over the year, and they couldn't do anything. When we go to the road, I think it will wake everybody up to know, look, where we are heading to now, there's danger ahead.
So
we don't have money to import water in this country. I heard just yesterday from one of the radio stations when from the pharmaceutical company, I've forgotten the name of it, I just heard it in the car, that if we don't take it in 2 years' time, our water bodies are polluted to the extent that they will have to import water for them to manufacture drugs for us in Ghana. If that happens, already we are not able to buy the drugs. They are very expensive, the medications. Where would we be? The poor people, what would they be?
Again,
so this is a collective fight for you and for me and for everybody in Ghana. Every citizen of Ghana has the country at heart. This is the time for us to rise up and tell the leaders it is time to halt illegal mining, Galamsey, to save our water bodies so we can survive in the future.
So the understanding I'm having is that you're on the same page with the police. Everything should be fine security-wise.
Beautiful, yes. Yes.
Went it here. Thank you very much. And you just had the Very Reverend Matthias Kotoka Amuzu, Director for Justice and Peace, Archdiocese of Accra. You're still here on the delayed version of Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. When we come back, we'll tell you more about what the Electoral Commission and the NDC are talking about ahead of this year's general election.
Hello. We've all been there doing something dangerous to our teeth and suffering the consequences. Now, in that moment, you wish you hadn't, right? It's another episode of Time with the Dentist. I'm your dentist, Dr. Gwendolyn Amakwe Baiche, and this program is sponsored by Pepsodent in partnership with Ghana Dental Association. Today, let's talk about a few of the things that we do to our teeth and subject our mouth to that are harmful. Some of these habits have been with us for so long that they have become a part of us. But there's no habit that you cannot break if you put your mind to it. The first is smoking. Smoking cigarette. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware of the harmful effect smoking cigarettes can have on the general health. But what you also need to know is that smoking is one of the most destructive habits for your oral health. It is one of the major causes of bad breath and teeth discoloration due to the tar and nicotine present in it, and also the increased buildup of tartar and plaque that it causes. Other effects on your oral health include gum disease, which progresses faster in smokers compared to non-smokers. And we all know by now that gum disease can lead to tooth loss. Nicotine in cigarettes reduces the flow of blood to tissues of the mouth, and good blood flow is needed for healing following surgical procedures, like when you have your tooth taken out. So in effect, smoking can delay healing in the mouth. There can also be loss of density of the jawbone, inflammation of the salivary glands, which will lead to decrease in salivation. And very soon we will learn the importance of saliva to our oral health. Lastly, smokers are more at risk of developing oral cancer. To those of us who smoke, it certainly can't be an easy habit to quit. But with the necessary help, you can. Don't wait until it's too late. The second poor habit is the use of our teeth as tools. Whether opening bottles with our teeth, ripping packages, cutting fabrics, or holding objects with our teeth, you are putting yourself at risk of cracking, chipping your teeth, or even injuring your gums. Especially to our tailors and dressmakers, fisher folks, carpenters, who tend to use the teeth as tools at work. Let's do well to put a stop to the habit. Our dear mechanics who use their mouth to siphon fuel from car tanks using rubber tube, you're exposing your mouth, including your teeth, to very toxic substance, which can erode the tooth surface. Accidentally swallowing or aspirating the substance can also be very harmful to other parts of your body. The last poor habit I would like to talk about is brushing your teeth too hard, and especially with a hard bristled toothbrush. While we encourage you to brush your teeth often, please use a soft to medium bristled toothbrush, like the Pepsodent toothbrushes. These are gentle on your teeth and gums and are also able to clean hard to reach areas of the mouth. Let's stop brushing aggressively. This list is not exhaustive. There are others, like crushing ice with the teeth, biting your nails, and grinding the teeth. Tooth discoloration is when the perceived color of the tooth looks deviated from normal. And what is normal? So the teeth typically are very white in very young children, off-white in adults, and whitish yellow as you age. When you use your teeth as openers, you can crack or chip your tooth. This can affect your smile. Your teeth will look unaesthetic, it could feel sensitive, and depending on how bad the chip is, you could even feel pain and eventually lose your tooth. Bad habits are not easy to break, but can be broken. Let's put in every effort to stop these poor oral habits. Remember to always brush your teeth twice daily with a fluoride toothpaste like Pepsodent, and visit the dentist regularly. Your teeth will thank you. This campaign is proudly brought to you by Pepsodent in partnership with Ghana Dental Association.
You can be fast, you can be old, but that doesn't mean you are the best. The tortoise tells it all. The tortoise is strong, wise, and reliable. Choose what represents the tortoise, and that is Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, strong, tough.
Dive into a world of exhilarating fun, refreshing thrills, and endless splashes at the Marina Water Park inside Lakeside. With a wide array of water attractions, you are guaranteed an unforgettable experience for the whole family. Open Saturdays 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Call 0508-598-948 or 0204-775-044. Follow us on all socials at Lakeside Marina Park. Marina Water Park. Love the experience.
And you're still here on the special edition of Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. And this is your Election Command Center. Let's bring you some political issues. And the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, has kicked against the request by the Electoral Commission to have party agents trained for the printing of notice of poll and ballot papers. The The party made this known after a meeting with the Electoral Commission earlier today. Now, speaking to TV3, NDC Deputy Director of Elections and IT, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, said that the meeting goes beyond the party agent, hence the need to involve the party's leadership. He also accused the NPP of bringing in the party's private security to intimidate the process.
It was a very interesting meeting in the sense that leadership of the party came in instead of the party agents. Actually, the meeting should have been for party leadership and not for agents, because most of the decisions they wanted to put on was for leadership to take decisions on them. One was about the notice of pool. They needed us to sign off on it. And we think that this forum was not a platform for that. And interestingly, all the political parties all agree that, look, the party agent doesn't have that mandate to do that. It's rather the principals. And so we've proposed that tomorrow we should have another meeting where principals will come. They will bring the notice of pool. Then we all sign onto it. When we sign off, that one document will be used for the printing of the notice of pool. And when it comes to the printing of the ballot papers, yes, they agreed that, yes, they needed to work on the statistics. They are working on it, and they will provide the statistics at the point of printing, but we disagree. All the parties, we all disagree. In interesting enough, we all agree today. Where on one point, an issue was standing on another point. That, look, you must give us the statistics first, and so that we'll study it before we can go ahead with the printing. And then so they said they will refer to the commissioners. Probably tomorrow we'll have a meeting over that issues again, and then we move on from there. So clearly, I would describe as an inconclusive, because they say they will get back to us by the close of the day. He's just going to report back. This is the outcome of the meeting. All the party agree that this is how we should do it. First, we must have the notice of polls brought to us for us to peruse it, look at it, and sign off. We must also get the statistics first before we can now move on.
And you heard the NDC's Deputy Director of Elections and IT, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. The national chairman of the party at a separate press conference also called on the EC to halt the printing process.
You are commencing printing of ballot papers. You are going to print ballot papers based on a draft register. So where does it put the remaining reputation of the Electoral Commission? I just drawn the attention of all the CSOs, all the labor organizations that showed interest in a clean and credible register, that the director of IT and the chairperson of Electoral Commission, who were appealing to Ghanaians to have trust and confidence in them that they will do the right things. Even the conclusions reached at that meeting are now being abused. We take this as a very, very serious occurrence. We have seen written back to them, and we hope they will listen and ensure that the basic requirement that we must have a finalized register based upon which the electoral code books will be made available. For those who don't understand this thing, the code books are the books that tells you polling station by polling station, number of voters in each of those polling stations, and that will guide the composition of the ballot statistics, and then before you proceed to do printing. We do not have the code books as we stand here to guide us as to the number of voters in each polling station.
You heard the chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedun Katiaba. The governing MPP says it supports the decision of the EC. Evans Nimakon is the Director of Research and Elections.
We agreed together that the EC must come to the party with the sample notice of poll for us to sign off. Signing off means that we want to make sure that the candidate picture is clear, the names are well spelled, party symbol is clear, party name well spelled, before they can go out to do the final print. So, because once printing comes out, you cannot raise issues about it. So, we need to sign off before printing can start. That is the decision for today.
Evans Nimako is the Director of Elections for the governing MPP. Well, he also called on Ghanaians to have confidence in the EC. Now, the Executive Director for the Institute for Democratic Governance, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, says the potential for violence in this year's elections is very high. He has therefore called on the Electoral Commission to play its role as a fair arbiter. Dr. Akwete was speaking at the Ghana Speaks High Level Forum 2024. The forum is discussing how to advance peace, unity, and national cohesion.
We haven't done what we should do to increase our confidence in a peaceful, credible, and fair elections. And when we look at it all, we have tended to put all the blame or whatever or expectation on the Electoral Commission, that they would be able to do some kind of thing that would undermine confidence in the register, what they call a forensic register or examination of the register is what would assure us that this register, we can all go to elections with it and would have peaceful outcome and credible results, and the winner will be determined. It's a process still going on. The EC is struggling and other civil society organizations are involved. But the fact of the matter is that the reforms needed, the institutions required to manage a more challenging elections hasn't occurred. And we don't trust our chairman of the Electoral Commission because of the way they are appointed. NDC comes, they appoint. MPP, they are appointed. And now that alone creates suspicion that people put in charge cannot be credible enough to do the work professionally in the national interest. But these are the things we're living with. So my summary of it to His Eminence was that violence is potential. There's a potential for violence.
You heard the Executive Director of IDEC and the organizer of that program we just talked about, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete. Dr. Vincent Azuma is head of monitoring and evaluation at WANEP. He's also a security analyst. He joins us live on the line. Good evening to you, Doc. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
With the revelation coming up, is it too late to do anything about the situation?
No, I don't think it's too late. That is why it's been made public now, so that all the response mechanisms will be put into action. For instance, in May, when WANEP did its hotspot sport planning, it was realized that there were only 29 high-risk areas. But as of today, we have 30 high-risk. We have 39 high-risk areas, which means 10 more added. But these figures are put out. These analyses are made so that the authorities that need to take action, the response mechanisms that need to be kicked into action, will take this into notice and then work on them to prevent violence. So it's not too late.
But again, what else can be done, or how differently can we do things to turn things around, especially the bit about increasing trust in the Electoral Commission?
Well, increasing trust is everybody's duty. It is not only for the EC, and we also need to talk to the political parties to actually tone down the kind of attacks that they've been having on the EC. Because if we destroy the image of the EC, it has implications for what happens during the elections. And if we do not want violence, we don't want people to die needlessly, then we need to be mindful of what we say in the public domain, what we tell our supporters, and what we make our supporters believe about what the EC is doing or will do. So if you're able to tone down the kind of language that we put out there against the EC, then we'll be doing something to actually reduce the violence that we may see.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. Vincent Azuma.
Thank you.
And Vincent Azuma is head of monitoring and evaluation at ONEP. He's also a security analyst. Meanwhile, the founder and leader of the All People's Congress, Hassan Ayariga, walked out of the meeting or that program earlier today, citing lack of respect on his party and personality. George Quaining, a reporter on the ground, spoke to him.
And you are saying that we have only two-party system in this country. What about us? Are we not political party? Or do you think that we are also not capable of causing violence in this country? We are capable. But it's because our parties and our leaders are reasonable. Well, if John Mahama was to be there, will you not recognize him? If Bamio was to be there, will you not recognize him? Why you take us for granted? This is the mistakes they do, that this country cannot have peace. If you are talking about peace and you don't know how to respect people, then what kind of peace are you asking for? You want equality, but yet you are biased. You invite political parties, you refuse to acknowledge them. What kind of joke is that? Am I here to listen to NDC and MPP problems?
Would you say, because the third force has not really been, we've not really done a lot to, let them know that, yes, there's really a third force that can break the joke?
Political parties are same when we are registering. Yeah. No party is bigger. It is when you get more vote that you assume that you are a big party. But we all follow through the same proceedings to form parties. And we are giving equal bills when we are running. We all paid 100,000. Nobody paid less because your party is big or small. We are all going to the poll. We did the balloting together. So if leaders like this, who are supposed to allow multi-party democracy, are now reducing it to two major political parties, then what's the essence of inviting them?
You heard that Dr. Hassan Ayariga, he's the leader of the All People's Congress. When we come back, we'll tell you what's happening in the Upper East region.
I'm saying that Ghana must not introduce free SHS on the whimsical promise of a desperate politician. Many mistakes have been made by countries in Africa already with free SHS.
Akufado, minya wudienye, wuye bwe, Bawumia, minya wudienye, wuye bwe.
Hey, Mami Jamefua, why are you so excited this hot afternoon?
My sister, when I remember what free SHS has done for me and my children, I can't help but be happy for what Nanado and Dr. Bawumia have done. You remember when I lost my husband who was the breadwinner?
Yes, I remember very well.
There was no hope for my 3 children to go to school until Nanado and Dr. Bawumia introduced free SHS. Now my children, Kofi, Esi, and Kojo, attend all these big schools. In fact, do you know they are saying they want to review it? That's one. Some of their people are saying that they should cancel. Others too are saying they should make some people pay the fees.
Hey, they want to do their thing again. Who is going to pay and who will be going for free? They want to push we the poor people aside and start using their connection men and protocol to access the free SHS life-changing policy.
That is why we have to do everything in our civil rights to make sure they don't come and spoil this good thing for us.
This free SHS policy that Mahama and his people said is not possible. But now see,
it is possible. This year, we are voting to protect the free SHS. Vote Dr. Bawumia, number 1 on the ballot.
This October, come and encounter Jesus in a way you've never experienced before. The Maker's House Chapel International presents Experience Conference 2024 under the theme Jesus from 6th to 13th October. Join us for a week of divine connection and spiritual renewal. Be transformed by powerful ministrations from anointed men of God, Pastor Jonathan Miller, Reverend Eastwood Anaba, Dr. Dion Bias, and your host, Dr. Michael Brady Nyamiche. The venue is the Destiny Arena of the Maker's House Chapel International, Ultra-Atomic Atchison School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences. Weekday services start 6:30 p.m. and weekends 8 a.m. Experience Conference 2024. Don't just hear about it, be a part of it. Experience Jesus.
And you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Thank you for staying. Our security chiefs have yet again intervened to quell tension among members of the security services. This comes after a misunderstanding involving personnel of the Ghana Armed Forces, the police and customs at the Misiga security checkpoint in the Upper East region. The confusion centered on a truck carrying smuggled cocoa bags that had been intercepted at the checkpoint. Now, tensions escalated as the different security agencies had varying interpretations of their roles and actions regarding the consignment. Before we speak to security analysts, bring you a statement from the police service. I'll just read a bit of that to you. It says on 9th October 2024, a misunderstanding ensued among personnel of the Ghana Armed Forces, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, and the Ghana Police Service over an intercepted consignment of smuggled cocoa bags at the Misiga security checkpoint at Boko in the Upper East region. I'll read the fourth and fifth paragraphs to you, or points to you. It says, in the aftermath of the incident, the leadership of the three state security institutions promptly intervened to resolve the matter at the national level to maintain harmony and restore cooperation among the agencies involved. Meanwhile, the Regional Security Council, under the chairmanship of the Upper East Regional Minister, is also meeting the personnel and their leaders at the regional level to complement the efforts made at the national level. Let's bring in Richard Kumado. He's a fraud and security analyst. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
This is not the first time we are reporting of such incident. I remember at least we've reported about 4. Are you able to tell us why this keeps recurring?
I think it's back to what we've been saying, that the levels of indiscipline in the security agencies is very alarming. And I remember saying severally that non-punishable of offenses will always rationalize bad behavior and promote antisocial tendencies within law enforcement and society as a whole. I know Dan Parry will always interdict people who he felt have misbehaved or crossed the line. The military, on the other hand, have always shared that military officers, particularly in Boko, who have crossed the line and have done certain things they are not supposed to do. So for the widest imaginations of people within those areas, they will be thinking what has happened here, especially with the number of bullets that has been fired. And these guys are not going to account for those bullets simply because somebody has a misinformation or has been misinformed about interpretation of what their role is. And I think it goes just beyond that. And it is time the military in particular must wake up to their responsibilities and begin to hold their officers accountable.
Beyond the military and the responsibility there, how do we end this once and for all? So we don't always have to call. Now we are hearing that the regional minister is intervening.
Now, I think the military hierarchy must step in. If they begin to take precautionary actions and punitive actions against their men, people will fall in line. If the other security agencies will do the same, it will ensure that work-related activities are treated as professional as possible. I don't think we'll be getting the kind of reports we are getting, particularly when security officers are fighting among themselves. Are we saying that up to today, most of our brothers and sisters in uniform do not know what their roles are at the borders? I think they do. And I think they also know where they are to overlap and where they are not overlap. And I think they do. Somebody deliberately or negligently want to show somebody where the power lies, or has been compromised and they are becoming negligent a little bit at the borders in particular. And that is why we keep having these problems. So until you are able to take people on and hold them accountable for their actions and responsibilities, you will continue to get these particular red flags coming up from the border.
Taking people on and holding them accountable for their actions. Others suggest that perhaps publishing names and results of such incidents could, discourage others from going ahead with such practices. What do you think about that?
Not just discourage them, but make them accountable. It makes them responsible in the discharge of their work. And you also ensure that you are not just discouraged, but you are deterred. And deterrence is one of the things basically we do within the security agencies. You know, when you cross the red line and you misbehave or you misconduct yourself, there are ramifications for bad behavior. And once you cross the red line, by conduct and by your actions, you will be held accountable. And that is what the military in particular has failed to do over the years. And that is why you see the recurrence of many of these misbehavior, particularly within Boko. And if you remember, Boko is a conflict zone, and they have been stationed there purposely to maintain law and order. And people who are custodians of law and order has become lawless, then who else do you call? Hierarchy has to be responsible. They have to take an action, and one of those actions is to call people who have misbehaved, and they need to be punished.
They need to be punished. We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Richard Kumado. He's a fraud and security consultant. Thank you so much for sharing those views with us. Now, Ghana today joined the world to mark World Mental Health Day. The day is to raise awareness about the need to take mental health issues seriously. The theme for this year's World Mental Health Day is "It is time to prioritize mental health in the workplace." At work, risks to mental health, also called psychosocial risks, may be related to job schedule, specific characteristics of the workplace, or opportunities for career development, among other things. More than half of the global workforce works in the informal economy, where there is no regulatory protection and health safety protocols. And we'll bring you some more answers in our subsequent bulletins. And that's it for Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Beatrice Edu. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Have a good evening and do enjoy the rest of our programs.